Chair will now go to Arizona, Ms. Lesko, who has the largest nuclear power facility in her district, and for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, just outside of my district is Palo Verde Nuclear Plant, so I'm very proud about that. We've talked a lot about needing new sources for uranium and nuclear fuel, especially if we're going to expand and have more modular nuclear reactors, and that we're too reliant on Russia for nuclear fuel and crucial isotopes. And so, Mr. Harrell, what are your thoughts on recycling nuclear waste?
Yeah, thank you, Congresswoman, for the question. And Palo Verde was the very first nuclear facility I ever visited, so it really is a gem in the fleet. Recycling is a huge opportunity, right? We should absolutely be investing in research and development and exploring it as an option. It can both reduce our spent fuel reserves and increase our own fuel security by turning that spent fuel into product that we can use.
And what do you think the obstacles are to recycling waste?
Some of it is just political gumption. I think that the DOE is not restricted on exploring that option. We heard, Rita Barronwall, the Assistant Secretary of Nuclear Energy in the Trump administration, talk about it regularly. ARPA-E is doing some public-private partnerships with companies at the moment. I think we need to explore. There's absolutely non-proliferation concerns that need to be taken into account, but Japan has solved for those issues with the IAEA, as have the French and others. It's absolutely a manageable situation and frankly an opportunity that we're squandering at the moment.
And how about the cost? Is it too costly?
The fuel that would be produced from recycling would be more costly than for the lack of a better way of putting it, greenfield production. But what you do need to factor in is the cost liability of spent fuel that we have right now.
Right.
Someone earlier was talking about the millions of federal taxpayer dollars that have been used because we don't have a long-term repository. The offset of that cost to the federal government needs to be considered in the price as well.
All right. My next question is to any of the witnesses. Today I just met with electric cooperatives from Arizona, and they were very concerned about making sure they have reliable electricity on the grid. One of the electric co-ops said they were now down to one coal plant and that they were having a really hard time getting batteries for energy storage for the solar. That they were waiting now for 2 years. They haven't been able to get it. The supply chains are terrible. Costs are going up. And we are spending in the United States billions of dollars on subsidies for solar and wind energy. And I was wondering what your thoughts are and if we should divert some of those subsidies to nuclear. That's my question. Mr. Cohen.
We're going to need it all. We'll be lucky if we have a lot of nuclear and a lot of solar and get to where we need to go. I don't think we can do this as a zero sum. It's certainly true that nuclear is not being rewarded in the marketplace for its characteristics. So you often get this false comparison, and people say, well, solar is 3 or 4 cents and nuclear is 7 or 8. Well, that's just on a straight kilowatt-hour basis. It doesn't account for reliability. So there's some things that can be fixed in state regulation to make that happen. I don't know that you'd call that a subsidy. I'd call that recognizing the value. And if we could sort that out, I think we'd get a long way towards, we certainly wouldn't be seeing plants shut down like they are right now. But I don't think there's a silver bullet here, honestly. I think the tripling the electric supply in the U.S., all zero carbon, is going to need everything we got and more.
Anyone else?
Yeah, maybe I totally agree with that. I also think making sure nuclear is included as part of the option set. In some places, I expect it's not yet because of the concerns about risk actually completing projects. So as we see these advanced reactors development, that create more opportunities to include it in integrated resource plans and things like that.
All right. Thank you.
The last thing I'll add is I'm confident that the new nuclear is going to compete in the commercial marketplace without these type of incentives eventually. I think they're critical for these first movers to do their first of a kind deployment, but as we scale these, mass produce them, and deploy, I think we're going to see a very similar situation to what we saw with U.S. natural gas, that these are going to be really attractive in U.S. electricity markets and globally from a price, affordability, and security standpoint.
Well, great. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at the Idaho National Laboratories on the modular reactor and see if we can replicate it and use it. It's exciting. And thank you all for being here for now 3 hours without leaving the table. I really appreciate all of your expertise, and I yield back.